All right, here with reaction, he is the Chief Patient Officer at the wellness company. Dr. Drew Pinsky is with us. All right, so women are shaving their heads. They're pledging to either divorce their husbands or partners or don't have sex with them. They're stockpiling abortion pills. They're getting advice from the Washington Post on how to leave the country. Maybe they believed their own lies or the lies that were told during, and the hyperbole and the hype and the misinformation during the campaign, because there's no reason to leave. I will be the first person to stand up for their right to say stupid things if they want.
Yep. Well, I'm just glad to see that they moved from the blue talisman over their face and nose to a blue talisman bracelet on their wrist, because it's the same damn thing. And the whole headline here, Sean, is hysteria. Hysteria and delusion, and the source of this has been mainstream media. The American public has been propagandized to the point that they literally become mentally ill. And the thing about delusionality is it can't be reasoned with. We have literally been through a stage of delusion that started with the first Trump presidency. It was put into absolute orbit with COVID. We now have the new HHS document that showed how the propaganda was done, how many hundreds of millions of dollars were spent, and vulnerable people were affected by this. And I would say the way to deal with your family members that are like this, A, compassionate firmness. Firmness, not rationality, not discourse, because argumentation will not work. They are delusional, but firmness. Because the reality is, this is like a cult. What do cults do? They separate families. They separate the cult member from the family. And this is how they get their way. We must fight against that.
All right, if you look at the 9 years and every major newspaper in the country, 3 broadcast channels in the country, every liberal news channel in the country, it was almost 24/7. I hate Donald Trump. Donald Trump's bad. He's evil. He's this. He's that.
Sure.
The amazing thing to me, the outcome of this election, all the celebrity endorsements didn't matter. All the musicians playing concerts, that didn't matter. All of the legacy media attacking Trump didn't matter. And the American people didn't listen to them. And I've been making the statement that legacy media in America is dead. Am I wrong? Because if they had any influence at all, this would not have been the blowout election it became.
As my old friend Adam Carolla said to me just yesterday, he said it's like they had a magic wand and the batteries worn out. They're shaking the wand, but the batteries aren't working anymore. And so the reality is, and this is the way I've been thinking about it, it's that this is old-timey stuff. These celebrities are celebrities from the 70s and 80s who used to have sway over our culture, and the people that are advocating these old-timey strategies. Look, Joe Rogan has the influence, not Julia Roberts, and people cannot get that into their heads. There are people, I was talking to a 40-year-old today, didn't really know who Johnny Carson was, didn't really understand who Valerie Bertinelli was, who was attacking me and Adam Carolla during the COVID epidemic. They'd never heard of these people, and if they had heard of them, they have no real relevance in their life. It's old-timey, old-fashioned. It is time to move on to the new era. The late night is gone. So many things are over. Gutfeld is the king of late night. He still has sway, but this is a new way of doing things.
Well, I would argue in terms of late-night comedy shows, I mean, the countdown to cancellation is on. I don't think those shows will survive. And that means Kimmel, that means Colbert, that means Fallon, because they're not funny, and Greg Gutfeld is funny. You got to laugh. You mentioned Julia Roberts. It might have been the funniest political ad in some ways, but the saddest in another way, where she is telling people, narrating a video of a wife going into a voting booth. You don't have to tell that evil husband of yours that you're not voting for Trump. Your vote is private. Or George Clooney doing the same thing on the other end. You can still be a bro and act like you're voting for Trump. What is that?
I got to tell you, if that's actually, listen, if that was actually, I'm a mandated reporter in my state. If that is actually going on, I have to fill out a bunch of paperwork to report these people for domestic abuse. And that leads to domestic violence. Are they implying that all marriages in this country are just on the verge of domestic violence? Is that the implication? And by the way, I would say there are many more men keeping their mouth shut about what they're doing in the voting booth.
they're saying lie to your husband and lie to your best friends instead of are you that?
It's so sick.
But they lack pride in their candidate. They have to hide their vote and not admit what they really believe. First of all, is that a real marriage? Is that a real friendship? I don't think so.
We have a saying in my field is you're as sick as your secrets. How about the fact that we couldn't express ourselves? I don't know if you experienced this, but I noticed that after the election, when the American people made a pretty substantial statement, you kind of felt like speech was back, like you could start to talk, you could have an opinion, and you could have some affect with that opinion. Sunny Houston, who I've had nothing but affection for whenever I've dealt with her, she's talking about a moral issue as it pertains to somebody voting for somebody. Exactly what is the moral issue? What is she talking about? We are throwing things around. Where's the morality? Look, Adam Smith was a moral philosopher. How would he interpret exactly what the moral issue is for going in and issuing a vote? Well, it's wild.
Thanksgiving dinner. Wham, throw the turkey leg, throw the mashed potatoes. Let me ask you one last thing.
No, don't. Either stay quiet or just be really firm and direct and be compassionate and feel sorry for people that are in a delusional state.
I'm not advocating. I'm joking. All right, so when you tell people like Kamala Harris did, and she lies to old people, seniors, and says he's going to take away your Social Security and Medicare, and it's completely a lie. When she said in her closing speech in D.C. that Donald Trump will sign a national abortion ban, limit access to contraception, and stop IVF, all lies, do people believe the lie? How much responsibility does she bear?
Well, it's hard for me to direct it at her because she was so much a part of a general chorus of waving their magic wand without the batteries working anymore. Man. But listen, the whole thing about women being fearful about abortions or being able to get pregnant because they might not be able to get an abortion if their life is endangered. I looked up the data on that by the Kaiser Family Foundation today. Guess what the exception rate is for amongst states that have restricted abortion? 100% exception if the mother's life is in danger. Why? It's misogynistic. It's disgusting to whip people into a frenzy.
But you know what? Those words came out of her mouth. So I think she bears responsibility for that. Dr. Drew,
fair enough.
We might need you back on a regular basis. The country, half the country is 45% of the country is melting down. We appreciate your time. When we come back.